So this is now Easter week and the fourth week of the lockdown in the United Kingdom. I've been trying to do weekly video messages for the Diocese of Leicester, but I've decided that from now on I'm going to do them slightly differently and to do them by interviewing different people, getting something of their perspective on what's happening both in the church and in wider society. So I'm delighted today that I've been joined by Mike Kelly, who is our Dioscean Youth Officer. That he supports youth workers, both volunteers and paid youth workers across the diocese, and seeks to encourage church in their work with young people. So Mike, thank you ever so much for joining me today for this video message to the diocese. And first of all, just start by telling me something about how you and your family are coping with this lockdown.
Yeah, I think coping is probably the right word, really. Although I think we're finding a kind of new rhythm and kind of adjusting to what things look like, really. And part of that really, I think, is about appreciating the things that we do have. Whereas I think it strikes me that the challenges of coping if we didn't have those things would be so much more.
Yeah, we've been very, very mindful of that as well. Just the yes, giving thanks for our many blessings really at this time, even in the midst of challenges. Just from a work perspective though, Mike, so I'm very conscious that a good number of diocesan staff have been put on what we're now calling furlough, in other words, to take advantage of the government scheme to help with income. Now, there have been lots of difficult decisions about doing all of that. You're carrying on in work, largely because of the work that you're doing to support youth workers, paid and volunteers, and through them, if you like, to support young people, many of whom are vulnerable and maybe struggling at this time. But just in terms of your work, just give a sense of how this has changed your work and maybe how you're noticing it change other people's work as well.
I think the youth ministry has always struggled with that view of needing or having an expert and employing people to kind of either come and fix or particular people to kind of work with young people. And I think the big shift for me is acknowledging the fact that none of us are experts in any of this anymore. And I think there's been a real freedom within that as well, of saying, actually, we're trying to figure all this out together. So I suppose my role feels like it's shifted quite a lot. There was kind of a whole range of messages and emails and sort of text messages from people saying, can we do this? And how do we do this now? And the honest answer was, I don't know. I've never done this before. So actually, how can we create spaces to figure this out together? So yeah, having weekly sort of Zoom meetings that youth workers, whether employed or volunteers, can kind of drop into has been really great. And then checking up with people one-to-one. And I think helping people lose some of that pressure of, well, I've got to do what all the other churches are doing, or well, if I'm not doing this, then is my ministry still really valid? Has been really, really key.
And I think that's a really important message, isn't it, Mike, that we're all having to work this out for ourselves as to how to do this. But actually connecting with others and actually just sharing experience with others, not in the sense of everybody's got to try and do it in a particular way, but more in a sense of helping each other to think it through and work out what's right for our context. So I'm interested, Mike, I mean, one of the challenges that I mean, I've personally been facing, I mentioned we have 3 teenage children at home. There's been a lot of talk about church in the home because we can't use our buildings. But I want to confess that I'm finding that hard to know quite how to do that. Each of my children is in a different place in terms of their own personal faith, in terms of what they want and what they find helpful and so on. So for all that we've been trying to create new sort of family rhythms of prayer and so on, it has been really challenging. And I'm just wondering though, Mike, in particular, what in terms of advice for parents in this sort of situation, particularly thinking of parents of teenagers, and any particular thoughts you'd want to offer?
I think you're I think that honesty is really helpful. And I think if most people, we have an 8-year-old. And are finding a similar kind of challenge. I don't think it would be easier if he was 18, if I'm honest. But I think there is something about listening well to each other, and that means that there is disruption and there are going to be challenges, and arguments, fallings out, compromises, and all those things. But I think for me, there's that level of honesty that parents can really model, of saying, actually, we're trying our best and it's okay. And I think from my own experience, We've tried to be great at-home teachers, and I'm not. And acknowledging that and saying, you know what, schools do an amazing job, and we can't possibly try and do that. But what we can do is try and create a space where we can do some learning together. There's a kind of classic youth work verse is 1 Thessalonians 2 verse 8, and it says, because we love you so much, we are delighted to not only share the gospel, but our lives as well. And I think it's really important that young people get a chance to hear and experience the gospel, but we've got a real opportunity to share lives.
Yeah, there's something about giving ourselves permission in all of that, isn't there? Yeah, to live with that messiness, to accept we don't have the answers. I was helped greatly actually by a little video actually that the Prime Minister of New Zealand posted. She actually interviewed a psychologist and was asking him questions about how families should cope at home. And his big thing was actually just about giving people permission to do the things they want to do, and not to try and force things at this moment in time. So certainly the thing for me actually of allowing our teenagers to sleep in late during the day, not to try and impose a structure on them, all those sorts of things have been been very helpful for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Just conscious as well within that, Mike, that obviously for some young people where there are particular vulnerabilities, my wife works with looked after children, so aware that many children in that situation are really struggling at the moment. What can churches be doing, do you think, to help those families or those households where there are young people with very particular needs?
I think again the first thing is listening, and again coming back to that idea of permission, that we don't expect people to have it all together and to have perfect family units. That's that kind of element of mess that goes with it. But also I think there are some fantastic organisations that are much better equipped to offer resources and support for that. But also in terms of the way that we engage in terms of safeguarding is really important, but often makes assumptions that people either have access to certain technologies or can do things in a certain way, or that young people all like interacting in a certain way, and that's just not the case. So I think again it's about knowing people and asking the question of how can we support you. I was struck by a youth worker who said, I can't get any of my young people to engage with anything online, so I've started sending them postcards. And again, it was something saying, we're still thinking of you, you're still in our prayers, we'd love you to connect with things, here are the things that are on offer. But it was just a kind of a more creative way, I suppose, of just saying, how can we continue to support those who want to engage differently, or where there are particular challenges.
Yeah, and that's really important, isn't it? Not everybody wants to engage with technology and social media and all these sorts of things. And we've been trying to say that to clergy as well, I think, in the diocese, that actually sometimes actually the phone call is every bit, if not more powerful than a video meeting like this. We're just letting people know that somebody is there, somebody's caring for them, somebody's interested in them, somebody's praying for them. That can be hugely powerful, can't it, at this moment in time?
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess finally as well, I mean, that just leads on to the whole area of mental health. I'm aware, particularly for young people, mental health can be a real issue. Any particular thoughts on what young people and families can be doing at this time to guard their mental health?
I think, again, the theme of rhythms seems to be coming up a lot for me and the people I'm speaking to at the moment, of actually what are the new rhythms that are emerging. But alongside that, actually, what are the things that we could maybe reset that either in churches or families where there have been things that we've been forced to do or been doing because we haven't had a choice. So where are the things we could reset and maybe start again, and where are people resting, and what does that look like? So actually taking time to be together as families, but also taking time apart to look after people individually as well, I think is really, really important. So for me, rhythms, reset and rest are three really important themes.
That's a really helpful way of putting it. Yeah, rhythms, reset and rest. I love that. I shall certainly think some more about that myself as well. Mike, thank you ever so much for your time and for sharing something of your experience in all of this, as well as your wisdom from many years now of working with young people. And I think I would just simply want to leave us with that thought, that the importance of looking after ourselves within all of this, but in particular, I suppose, for children and young people, and actually thinking about what this feels like for them at this moment in time, and churches doing what they can to support those children and young people. I think that's more important now almost than ever. So I hope in this Easter season, as we go on reflecting on the meaning of Jesus' death and resurrection. So we'll do that with a particular eye towards our children and young people and how we can express God's love and care towards them at this time. So my thanks again to everybody watching this for all that you continue to do in serving God, in serving God's church and God's world.